Hey, this is Coach Jim. Trying this new tool called Crossover. I'm going to talk a little bit about our game the other day, our first inter-squad scrimmage game. I think it was a huge success. I hope everyone had a good time and also learned a lot. I think the one thing to note about these scrimmages, and it's sort of the intent of why we are playing 6-on-6, is it really forces you guys to perhaps play different positions that you're not used to playing, and also you're just getting a ton more reps than you would in a regular game. So hopefully you see the benefit of that. Also, you see there's far less kind of coach interaction, and it relies much more on player instincts, player communication, and we're really just my hope is that we can use this as a tool to help you all become a better ball player. So hopefully you guys see the rationale for it, and also enjoy it and learn from it. So I've got a series of clips here I just wanted to walk through. Again, I'm not really trying to point anyone out in terms of what you did wrong or anything like that. It's more hopefully we can learn from these mistakes. I'm fully expecting that we will make mistakes during the game, especially in this scrimmage, where perhaps you're put in a position that you're not used to. But the goal is that we can all learn from those mistakes, and then the point of pointing them out here is that hopefully we'll have you'll see the importance of kind of getting the details right, and hopefully everyone can learn from that, and we can minimize those mistakes in the regular season. So also want to point out some really good things that we did well, and that we can also learn from. So it's not all negative. So this first clip, I think this was a double play ball. Jonathan was pitching. Luke does a decent job here in terms of turning a double play. Transition could be a little bit quicker. The big thing here is Isaac makes the turn here from first and towards second base, and gets out on the play when he could have been safe at first. The big thing here is not necessarily Isaac's fault. I mean, he should be aware of where the ball is, but also be aware of the dimensions of the park that we're playing in. This is going to be our home field. The one thing that we've already realized is that the backstops are very very short, and also the fences are, the ball is bound very quickly. Also in this play, immediately afterwards, after the ball got past, the bench is egging Isaac to go on to second when basically the ball has already made it back its way over to the first baseman. So Isaac needs to be aware there. Also, the bench needs to be aware. We need to basically, guide Isaac in a positive direction here. So that's something, we'll learn from, just playing in these, playing on this field. But the same applies when we have road games as well. The second clip is Isaac was pitching. Luke is hitting. Luke will hit a pop-up to Isaac, who then drops the ball. Again, not really focused too much on the fact that the ball dropped. I think this is sort of a tweener play. The pop-ups to the pitcher is a tough play for a pitcher to make. I think in this case, we really would prefer that the first baseman be more aggressive on that call and call the pitcher off on that play. It basically landed kind of right in between the pitcher and the first baseman. It's just tough for the pitcher coming off the mound and trying to make that play. So if this applies to other areas in the infield other than kind of right immediately in front of the pitcher's mound, if possible, we want the infielders or even the catcher to try to make that play. So just something to note there. So here we have Rich up, ball gets past the shortstop. The one thing to note here is Luke does a really good job rounding third and scoring on this play. Although, if we watch it again, you'll see that he doesn't touch home plate. So we got to make sure we touch home plate. That's baseball 101. Also, Aiden at shortstop really needs to recognize, the situation in terms of the runners and where they are. And he's holding the ball while the runner is rounding third and heading towards home. So we really want to kind of get that ball in as soon as possible, either back to the pitcher or recognize that runner is going and make that throw home. So this is a kind of a slow roller, perfectly placed ground ball here. Jonathan does a really good job getting off the mound, but you'll see if we watch it again that he kind of throws kind of off his back foot, which causes the throw to go offline. Also, Ethan should recognize that a throw is going to be off the line and try to get off the bag as close as possible or as early as possible. Obviously, we want to prevent an additional run scoring on the overthrow. But if we watch it again, you'll see Jonathan did have time to kind of get set on his back foot and fire a stronger throw to first, which would have probably still got the runner out. Another player with Jonathan pitching does a great job catching this line drive from Marco. Really, not too much to argue about here, but just wanted to point out just how close these plays could be. So Jonathan took about a half a second to a second to recognize that there was a runner that he could have got at third. Made a good throw over to third, but he was just barely safe. I think being aware of the situation and the outs and the runners before the ball is caught, he may have been able to double off the runner at third, but still a really good play in terms of snagging that line drive. So this is a really good play all around. I just wanted to point out, obviously a good hit by JR, good communication in terms of the cutoff, Isaac running hard around third, Jonathan with a good cut and strong throw to home, and then JR, being aggressive on the base pass, taking that extra base. So really nothing to argue too much around here. Isaac's slide was a little weird. He got his cleats caught in before the base. So just want to go a little bit more horizontal on that slide for next time. This is another good defensive play. Just a pop-up kind of in between second and short. You see Alex calls it as soon as he realizes that he's under it, and more importantly, if you listen very closely, you hear take it from multiple, I think probably the pitcher and the shortstop, which is exactly what we want to see on that play. All right, this is a little grounder in between pitch, third, and short. Really the thing to recognize here is, JR just being really aggressive coming across the diamond, which is what we like to see the third baseman do on those plays. But everyone really kind of aggressive to the ball. You can't assume that the other player is going to get it. You can't assume that the pitcher is going to make that play. So JR did a great job, making that play. So here's a play with Ethan on a tag, fly to center, the throw. The thing we want to recognize on these throws, especially the cutoffs to home, we haven't really spent a ton of time in practice. So, but just want to point out here, anytime on a cutoff to any base, if you're the cutoff man, obviously the thrower, we want them to throw through the cutoff man. The cutoff man needs to recognize that that ball has enough strength to actually go through to its target. So basically if that's thrown on a line really hard, kind of over his shoulder, he could let that go. But that was falling basically short of the mound, and that's one that he wants to cut off. Also, you can see the runner coming from second to third. That's basically right in front of him. If we have an opportunity to kind of cut that off and get an out, obviously we don't want to give up a run, but we'll take an out where we can get one. And then also any play where cut off to home where the ball is going to hit the mound, we want to cut that off because anything can happen in terms of the ball kind of bouncing or dying and going in a different direction. So instead of allowing that one to roll through, we wanted to cut that off and probably quickly recognize there was a play at third. So here's another good hit by JR. The thing I want to point out when we play this again, if you watch Ethan kind of glance at the runners, he glances at first when I believe Isaac is still standing on first base. And being a left-handed pitcher, we really want to hold that runner on first. But once he makes that first glance, he glances at the other runners and doesn't look at first base again. So Isaac is able to get a really good jump on this play. So here's a play with Ethan up. This is perhaps a unique play because I ended up immediately before this kind of switching the defensive coverage on second. So JR would cover this play to a right-handed hitter, but knowing Ethan's tendencies, we shifted it, and then Ethan immediately hit it to second base. Obviously, this is something that I know, having coached Ethan and seeing him hit, but obviously the other players can recognize that from our teammates and communicate accordingly. Also, just seeing a player swing in game, you can make adjustments in terms of defensive positioning. So that's just a little thing I wanted to point out because I think ball players can pick up on those things. All right, so this is a Marco hitting a ground ball to third, kind of eats Ethan up alive on this play. The big thing, not necessarily that he didn't make the play, but the thing I want to point out when I replay it is you'll see his defensive stance. We don't see a creep step there. And also he's basically got, I think, his glove on his knee as the ball is hit. And we really want to make sure we're in an athletic position and timing up that creep step. It could be the difference between making this play or not. So I'll play it again. I also think just in terms of defensive mindset, when we're in defense, we need to have the mindset of that you want the ball hit to you, like that you expect the ball hit to you, and need to know, more importantly, kind of the situation in terms of what you're going to do with it when the ball is hit to you. I think just being prepared on each and every play to expect the ball to hit to you will go a long ways. So this is another good play, ground ball to JR in second. Really covers a lot of ground here. The one thing I would like to see, he had time to just kind of get set before making that throw. He kind of throws off the back, his back foot with a little hop, and we just want to avoid any chance of an error on a pretty easy throw. All right, so this was a play actually in a pretty crucial juncture of the game. It was the black team was up 7-1. Their bases loaded. There was 2 outs. There was a 3-2 count to Ethan. Obviously, the runner in second was a ways off the bag. But in this situation, we don't have a lot to gain from making this throw. We've got a lot to lose. So I think with 2 outs in a 3-2 count, basically we want to focus on the batter and getting that third out. So I think in terms of JR, we don't really want to encourage that throw, and the pitcher needs to recognize that's not a throw we want to make. The risk is too great. This is a really good play. I wanted to point out JR kind of moving really well with the ball. Backhanding the ball, and this is one play where he really did get set on his back foot and made a strong throw. This is another really good play on a ground ball, kind of a slow hopper. Kale runs pretty well. If you watch Luke's footwork through the ball, kind of working through the ball into the throw, the throw is a little bit up the line, but in terms of his footwork and getting set up and playing the hop that he wanted to play, I think that this was really good. I'll play it again. So this was a play that some miscommunication between myself and Jonathan caused him the balk. I mean, this isn't this isn't Jonathan's fault, but I think in terms of recognizing the signs, I was flashing 4 fingers down, which is our sign for pull your best pickoff move immediately. I think we just got a little miscommunication there. But if you see Isaac leading off at first has a really pretty big lead there, and we wanted to try to pick him off here. So when we're leading off at first, we all what we've talked about time and time again is really one step and dive to the base. And I think Isaac gets a great jump here. But if Jonathan were to throw over, he probably would have been a sitting duck. All right, so this play is second and third, less than 2 outs, a fly ball to center. I think it was either Jonathan or Rich in center. Isaac really has to recognize here that this is a play that he wants to tag up. He gets caught in no man's land, kind of halfway between this play, and is running back to third as the ball is caught. This is a play where he has to immediately get back to third as soon as that ball is in the air and be aggressive in terms of trying to take that extra base. And just so you know that even the coaches aren't perfect, this is really a lazy throw by the catcher back to the pitcher. So obviously with runners on base, the catcher really needs to stand up and fire a good throw back to the catcher. So that cost us a run, and I felt pretty horrible about it afterwards. So this was a big hit in the game by Ethan. Really a double to deep center. Really, there was should have been a play here at the plate. Cale does cut off the throw. If we watch it again, we're all calling for the ball to go to 4. Cale really ideally would be able to see where the runner is crossing third, kind of in his peripheral vision. And you'll see when we play it again, like Rich has to really kind of hold it second to see if that ball is going to be caught. So he has sort of a late break home. There really could have been a play at the plate here when we played again. So this is really another play where as a pitcher you can really help your cause. I mean, obviously a pitcher wants to give up as few runs as possible. So we saw in the last play perhaps it could have saved a run. And on this play we had a force at home. And this was a kind of a custom-made double play ball. Cale does a good job obviously getting the play. Fires immediately to first. I think being aware of the situation before the ball is hit, I think ideally would know immediately to go home, get that out at home, and then probably would have had time for a double play there. So this is late in the game. We got bases loaded here. Isaac makes the catch. Probably not enough communication in terms of where the throw should go, but I think inherently as an outfielder, especially when their bases are loaded, there's nowhere for any runner to go other than the third base, the runner on third base going home. So a strong throw to home, really nothing to risk there. So I think in terms of when the ball is hit, is in the air, Isaac should be thinking, I'm going home with this, I'm going home with this, and really fires as opposed to catching it, kind of observing and waiting for someone to tell him where to throw. But I think, the team should really, me as catcher should have been communicating that earlier on. But I think it's something to learn as outfielders, just knowing the situation, knowing what you're going to do with it if the ball is hit to you beforehand, or even when the ball is in the air and you're camped under it. I think that'll go a long ways to help. our outfield play. So this is a good hit by Isaac. A good dive by Coach Tom there. The only thing we recognize here is, Isaac got out earlier in the game, kind of rounding first. Almost got caught here again. So I think being aware of where the ball is, he may have thought that it had gotten past the third baseman, but we just really need to be aware of where the ball is and making sure we're running down that line, unless it's a sheer extra base hit or potential extra base hit. So those are all my coaching points for this game. Hopefully, like I said, we can learn from them. Hopefully, you guys enjoy the kind of this crossover app in terms of being able to see clips from your game. I've got all the pitching from the last game up, broken down individually, so you can review your pitching. I've got basically every play that you were involved with in terms of pitches, every pitch you took as a batter, every ball in play, and you can quickly go through every play that you were involved with in the game, and hopefully we'll continue to learn from this. And I think over the course of the season, this is our first scrimmage relative to the last scrimmage. I'm expecting that we'll see just tremendous progress and tremendous growth from each and every one. All right, have a great day.